Hey, what's up everybody? It's Haskyns here with another awesome build tutorial for you today. We're doing things a little bit different. Yes, that's right. I'm messing around with the toys. This thing is absolutely nuts. I don't even know what you want to call this. It's basically like a Cedar Point ride swing. This thing rises up while it also rotates. Hey, special shout out to Kaboom for helping giving me some pointers on some of the things I was struggling with, but I had this design in my mind and I really wanted to get this thing done so I can showcase it to all of you and show you exactly how to build that. So stick around. We're going to go through each step of the way. You're going to be surprised. This is actually a lot easier to build than it looks. Oh, and before I forget, I'm giving away 2,800 V-Bucks to 4 lucky subscribers. I'm going to leave the video link in the description with those details. It's free, no gimmicks. You don't need to buy anything. All you need to do is be sub to this channel, check that video out, and make sure to follow those details. All right, with that being said, let's get into the build tutorial. So step one of this build is going to be using these 4x4x2 foundation blocks. Now you can use wood or granite. In this case, the design I'm going with is going to use the granite. But we're going to stack up a nice tower of these. We're going to make this 36 blocks in height. Now you should be able to get most of these stacked from the ground. All right, so I was able to successfully stack all 36 of these on top of one another. However, if you're having problems, just build some stairs so that way you can get all the way up to the top. Next, we're going to grab a 16x16x2 foundation block and we're going to snap it right into the bottom just like this. Now this is going to be the central platform for where we're going to place our center rotor and building it all the way up. Now the first step we can do on the ground here is going into our floors, and you can use any one of the 4x4x1 floor pieces, and we're going to snap one in right up against there, and we're going to build a even square box that's going to go around just like this. And we're going to leave the center part open because that's going to dictate exactly where we build our central post here in the middle. Now from here, what we're going to do, I'm going to be using the beachy corner, but you can use any 2x2x12 post for this build. Just make sure that they're those dimensions and you'll be completely fine. So the thing here is that we're going to want to make sure this is lined up directly in the middle of this box that we left empty before we start building upwards. So just make sure to go around and see that you have this good and centered. From here, we're going to be building this up 4 posts. So that would be 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to move over to our floor section where we're going to grab any 8x8x1 floor piece. And we're going to want to put this good and center up on the top of this post. Now this can be tricky sometimes because of the height that we're working with here on the ground. But all you need to do is make sure that it's center on top of the post just like this before you place it down. Now we need to start building at the top of this part here. So what I recommend doing is grabbing some stair pieces. I prefer using these rustic stairs because they use wood and they have that nice little platform at the top. So we're going to want to build these out a little bit wider like this because we will be building a platform up top, and we're going to want to do our best to stay out of its way while still being able to use these stairs. So you can just continue to build these up until you get right about here. And then what I recommend doing is building them out like this and then over like that. And one more like this. And now from here, this is going to be taking a little bit of parkour experience. So you're going to want to jump down right on top of this platform, in which we're going to build another little square box using our same size floor pieces. So the goal here is to snap this in to the edge of this block. Now it's going to be tricky to do without falling off, so be careful. We're going to put one just like this, and then we're going to do a nice square around it, just like we did on the bottom foundation block. Now from here, we're going to go back to the posts that we used or the corners that we're using, and we're just going to do a good and center block right up the middle here. We're going to do 5 of them. So that would be 2, then we have 3, 4, and then 5. Now just look down and make sure that these are center inside of that square before moving to this next part. If not, knock them down and go back and check it out. And then we're going to grab some small wheels where we're going to place these right on the outside, just like this. Make sure they're not touching the actual post because that's going to be a problem. You want to make sure that they're right outside of the post there. And once you have them like that, we're good to start building our platform that's going to help us work on this upper part as we move forward into the next steps. Now, all you need to do for that is we're going to go back into our floor section and we're going to grab these wide floor ones. Now you can use any one of these. It's the 12 by 12 by 1 dimensions, and we're just going to start snapping these on as we build around here. We're going to create 2 full boxes around. Now you're going to get to this point, which is not a problem. Just skip over this middle part and just continue to build this around until you get to this part. And now all you need to do here is go back and fill this in using a combination of these 2 floor pieces. So we're going to use Beachy Floor 2. We're going to snap one in just like that. And then we're going to do Beachy Floor 1, or any, I'm sorry, not Beachy Floor. It doesn't have to be. It has to be 8 by 8 by 1 and a 8 by 4 by 1 piece. You can use those to fill this part in. And then if you want, just go back to the smaller floor pieces you've used to fill in these little gaps here. And then the last thing you're going to do is go back to your wide floor, which again is the 12 by 12 by 1. And we're just going to create 1 more square around this outer edge. Everything up top situated for the time being, we're going to drop back down where it all began. So one of the things I'm going to show you here is how we're going to anchor this center post to the back frame so that when we knock out this bottom post, the whole thing doesn't come crashing down. We're going to want to leave this exposed so we can build a tire on the bottom of the post above it. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to punch this once or twice. Now, if you notice, when you hit this piece, it's actually going to flash and you can tell where the top of this piece ends. So let's hit it one more time and take a look. So it's just above that line that my dot's on right here. So it's going to be this bottom line in the group of 3. So we're going to use the 4 by 4 by 1 floor pieces to anchor this in. We're going to want to snap this in just above that set of lines. So you can line it up just like this. And then we're going to put one more on top here. And we're just going to make sure that that one is actually making contact with the post. Now at this point, you can give this thing a couple more punches and knock it out. And as you can see, this thing is going to stay in place. That's exactly what we want. Now from here, we're going to move over and we're going to grab a small wheel, which we're going to proceed to place right on the bottom of this. Now the important thing here is to just go around and check to make sure that none of that part where the tire meets the actual post is hanging over, because that's not what you want. You want it to look just like I'm showing you right now. So now that we have that in, we can start by building what I call our kind of casing or foundation for this post. We can do this simply by grabbing our 4 by 4 by 2 foundation blocks. Again, you can use wood or granite for this. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to use granite because it's much more sturdy than wood. And we're going to stack these on top of each other until we reach just above this tire like that. And we're going to do the same thing in all of these positions here. And then just continue to stack up on all of these blocks until you cover the tire. At this point, once you've got that casing built, you're going to want to get back up on your stairs here, and we're going to jump down, and preferably using a glider, but if you don't have one, you can still jump down and land on this post, where we're going to proceed to knock out these pieces that we have anchoring it in, so that this will fall down and fit nicely right inside of this little bottom foundation piece that we made. Now at this point, you can look up and you notice you have a lot of room between the foundation that you started building and this platform here. So now that we have this set where we want it, we're going to start by building these blocks up even further. Now that you have that post drop down and this is all enclosed, you can start looking up and you see that little piece of floor that we put in there. We're going to start building this up even higher so we can use our stairs. And I just like to say maybe do one section at a time. It'll save you a lot of time on stacking these blocks. Instead of going all the way around to each one and doing a piece by piece, just choose one section and build all the way up until you're right below that platform. Now, this one here might look like it's going to be touching. Don't worry, it's not. Just make sure you're very close like that until you can't fit any more blocks, and then just move on to each other section until you build it to an even height. So from here, we're going to want to make our way back up top, and you're going to most likely want to have another stair set to access this top post here. Now we're going to start to put in our swing arms, and to do this, we're going to go into our thin floor section and grab any 16 by 2 by 1 thin floor. And then we're going to proceed to snap this in on the top. And what I like to do to get this in the right position is nudge it over until it turns red, and then just nudge it back the other way one until it turns green. From there, you can snap it in and jump right on top like that. And then we're going to snap one more right on the other end here. And then we're going to add one more to each side. And we're going to do the same thing here. Now this one gets a little tricky, so what I recommend doing is jumping down on your stairs here and making sure that you're lined up directly with the center of that post. And we're going to nudge it out until it turns green. And then at this point, we're good and lined up, so you can jump back up top and just snap it in like that. And just like the other sides, we're going to do this to create a nice even fan blade up at the top. Next, we're going to move back to our toys, and we're going to grab 2 small balloons where we're going to place them right in the little corners just like this. And the purpose for these is it's going to give the thrusters assistance as the thing raises up while it's spinning, but it's also going to act as a nice kind of cushion as it free falls back down once the thrusters stop engaging. Now don't worry, it might get a little shaky here, but once you add the rest of the components, that should go away and we'll be just fine. All right, so when building at night, I recommend throwing down a torch and also holding one in your hand. This is going to help you see exactly what's going on. So now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our way over to the support section, in which I'm going to be using this 2x2x12 beachy pillar 1. But again, you can use any 2x2x12 corner or support. Those are going to be just fine. This is just the ones I'm choosing to use for this design. So we're going to lock these in right on the outer edge of these blades, and we're going to do one there. And then we're going to do one here to start. And the reason I'm doing these evenly is because with the actual mechanics of this game, sometimes when you're putting these pieces in and you're doing too much on one side, the weight distribution can really throw off your building. So I suggest making sure that you do these one at a time across from each other and then doing the opposite ends. This will help from having anything moving into the wrong position that you don't want it to go. So we're going to do one there. This is really glitchy. I don't know what's happening, but just find an angle that works, and then we'll drop them down just like this. Okay, so one of the things I like to do during these tutorials is stop and do a little bit of testing. Now, this is the earliest point in which we can test our rotation. I highly recommend doing this to make sure you didn't miss any steps or put some pieces in the wrong place, because if this doesn't work for you, then that's going to be very evident. You're going to want to maybe go back and troubleshoot and figure out what might have went wrong. So the idea behind the thrusters here, we're going to use these small ones, and we're going to place them right here to where you actually can see that the top of the thruster is actually right lined up with the top of that floor piece we put on. Now, a good way to check this is by going back on your stairs and coming on up to the actual blades that we put down here and making our way over. And it should be looking just like you're seeing right now, where the top of the thrusters just peeking up over the top of that floor piece. Now, what you need to do from here is just repeat, but make sure that they're on the same end. So don't place one here and then one there. Continue to go around and start placing them on the first surface that you see on the next one. And then do the same thing like this, up top. And then the last one is going to be right on this edge. And then before you test this out, let's head back up and just make sure they're all in the position that we want them to. So we want it just like that. We can check the others. That one looks good. And they all look good. Now at this point, what you're going to want to do is definitely get rid of these stairs, because they're definitely going to be in the way of this thing from spinning around. And you don't want these things colliding into other pieces, because although it might just get stuck and then you can knock it down, there are some cases where if it makes contact with the stairs, it'll actually knock it out of place and it'll get all glitchy. Now we're ready to place down our activation switch. So let's go ahead and let this thing rip and just make sure that we have a nice even rotation. You can even glide down and just check it out from the far. This thing's moving very smooth. So if you followed all the steps up into this point, it should be working just as intended. But now we're not finished yet. We've got a few more steps to cover here, so stick around with me and we'll get this thing finished here in just a moment. The next step here is we're going to go into our floor pieces, where we're going to grab these beachy floor ones, and we're just simply going to snap these on the ends just like this. And the only thing you want to make sure of here is that they're good in center, like I'm showing you here, and just repeat that on all 4 of these. The purpose of these platforms is to place down seats so that when we have guests and our friends over, we can send them on the ride and have them puke up their Durburger all over the place. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to come into our furniture section and move on over to seating. Now at this point, you can use any seats, but what I'd like to do is I'm just going to put these little park benches on here for now and just make sure that they're nice and center on those platforms. Now that was a little bit laggy and I don't know why it ended up there. So we're going to knock this thing down and we're just going to proceed to build another one. Again, making sure that it's good and center on the actual platform like that. Now from here, all you're going to do is move around the other sides and do the same exact thing. You can try to come on these corners or to the edge, but just be careful you don't fall off and die. Now that we've got all of our seats in place, let's go ahead and give this another rotation test and make sure everything's working as intended, which it looks like we're in good business. Now for some of the final pieces here, this is going to be extremely important to not have all your hard work go to waste by falling apart when this thing slams into the top when we put on the grand finale feature. And what makes this thing one of the most unique swings in the game, we're going to take our small tires and we're just going to place these down right on the outside of the post like we did above earlier on in this video. So just get these nice and good and tight in here like this. And this is going to pad this thing as it knocks into the top post and save all your friends from an imminent death. So let's head back up top, and now this is where this build becomes really cool. So we're going to go back to our small thrusters and we're just going to simply line these things up right against the inner post just like this. So just make sure you have all 4 on there. And now at this point, we should be looking good. Fingers crossed, LEGO Fortnite, please don't screw me over in front of everybody. And boom, just like that, you now have a swing that rotates and rises up like your favorite carnival ride. Let's get a nice look at this thing as we move out. Now you can see it slammed up into the top, did just fine, and came down to its original position. I hope you enjoy this. Now let's finish it off by showing you some final touches and how you can really dress this thing up and make it look really unique. The first design recommendation is to cover up all the inner workings with some walls. These are the Durburger walls that I'm using right here. I thought they looked very well with all the white. And then also I just wrapped the entire thing with these stairs all the way around. Once you get towards the top, you just got to bust this stuff out. I used some makeshift stairs that I built using the thin floors. And then I just took some various floor piecing and finished this whole area out. And then I added some railings and some fences to complete the stairs and give it a nice complete look overall. And then like once I moved up top, you'll be seeing here in just a moment, I added some railings to go around this. Now I left the openings so I could put down some stairs, which you can access the actual benches and sit down and ride this thing. So the last thing I did was I went around and I used some support walls to make it look actually beefy and realistic. Thanks to everybody out there for all the support. I would never have imagined to crack 1,000 subs. It's all thanks to you. I love playing LEGO Fortnite and bringing these tutorials to you all, and I hope you enjoy them. If you want to see me do more content like this and you're new to the channel, please make sure you subscribe and hit the thumbs up button, and I will catch you in the next one.